me with eggs and flour and bake me for 40 minutes.
Hello and welcome to ScreenMasters with me, Bav.
And me, Fluff.
And this week it's a TV version. No, it's a TV episode. That's what the word I was actually looking for. I have no immortal words to go to this time. I nearly did a S Club 7 thing, but it was tenuous. It was tenuous. But don't worry, guys. They're coming back. I didn't research ones this time to be really crap intros, so I'm sorry. I know. So the reason everyone listens is those really crap beginnings that I do. But yes, we're back for another TV episode, and this week we're going to be looking at anime and picking our top 3. But first, just a quick bit of housekeeping, all the usual bits and pieces. I'm just pushing everyone now to facebook.com/The ScreenMasters. At the top of the page, pinned there, is a link which will take you to the YouTube channel where you can listen to the podcasts. We'll take you to Patreon if you want to support the Bite Back Media Network that we're a part of. As we've said before, we don't get paid for this, and we won't get paid for this for quite some time, I would imagine. It's to pay Wayne, who is the man who knocks this into shape and makes it sound half decent for you guys. So we just want to make sure he's got enough tea, basically. He drinks quite a lot of tea. So yes, go to facebook.com/The ScreenMasters. Send us a message through that, or click on any of the links that you want to get to where you need to be. Again, I'll mention it on this one and then won't. Going forwards, we have changed podcast networks, so if you had a follow link on Spotify or Apple or any of that stuff, you will have to go and re-find us, search for ScreenMasters as 2 separate words, and it should come up on most platforms. If you're having trouble with any of it, obviously, again, go to the Facebook page, let us know, and then we're aware where the problems lie, and we can make sure things get up there. So yeah, there's my housekeeping. I'm going to throw it over to you now, because I think you've got some news for us.
We've got a little bit of news, which we didn't really cover much on the news front in the previous one. So there's a couple of bits of movie news. As usual, we do emphasise mainly on the comic book side of things. So whether this is stuff that you've been privy to, I know usually I read most of this stuff before you do. So a couple of bits on the movie side. One is that Ant-Man 3 has pretty much been added to the Marvel slate now.
No. Any subtitle or anything?
No. It's very early days at this moment in time. It's essentially just been added to the slate. There's no real release date, or all we know by the looks of things is that Peyton Reed is going to be coming back to direct.
Okay.
Obviously, we're assuming that the same cast of previous is going to be returning.
Yeah.
We shall see. Time will tell on that one and how.
I enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought that was an enjoyable escapade. I don't think there was a huge amount of depth to it, but it was again akin to a turn your brain off, let the entertainment flow. I think there was some really clever uses of the minimalisation, maximisation of the tech that were very amusing.
Hopefully it'll improve and go straight to soon. So that's one, and the other bit is Into the Spider-Verse sequel. There doesn't appear to be a subtitle for that at the moment, so there's no kind of, Into the Spider-Verse, whatever it might be. So that's given a release date. Now, this is still a hell of a ways away, so April 8th, 2022. So we've still got quite a bit of a time.
That's good. I'm happy with that, because it's animation. I want them to put the time into it.
But the success of the previous one, I think, warrants time given to
absolutely.
ensure that.
And again, I know we've discussed off pod. I've mentioned to you about the very subtle way that the animators made Miles Morales look not as accomplished as the Peter Parker that he meets at the beginning. And very simply, they did that by animating Miles Morales at 12 frames per second, but animating Peter Parker at 24 frames a second. And what that gives you on screen is a slightly juddery, clumsy look to Miles Morales' animation, and a much slicker, stylised mode of animation for Peter Parker, because he's the much more established Spider-Man. By the end of the film, Miles Morales is in 24 frames. So they move it up as they go through, because then by the end, he is as slick. He has learned his stuff. He is as good. But, if the animators are going to that level and that amount of depth to give us additional character beats, it tells the story for itself that these people clearly love what they're doing and they want it to be damn good. So yeah, give them all the time in the world.
So there's little bits of information out there from that, but again, I just encourage you to all have a little look around. Comic Book Resources is a good website I usually find for most of my kind of comic book based news. So have a look on there and see what articles are up. On the TV side of news, so there's been a few trailers as of late which have been released. Now I know one of these you won't have seen because you haven't even watched the second season, which is Star Trek Discovery.
True.
Which I know that you are still trying to find the time to watch the second
It's on
season.
the list. It's on the list.
So I very, very much love the second season of this. The first one was very, very hit and miss, not going to lie. The second season absolutely was fantastic for me. I really, really enjoyed it. Very much looking to seeing how they do the third. I won't say more on that because giving any information on that would completely spoil the season 2 for you. So I shan't say any more on that.
Mm-hmm.
We also had another trailer, this time for Picard, which
Yes, I've seen that actually. I've watched that.
Very, very, very much looking forward to.
I'm really interested in that now.
Yeah, the second trailer. The first trailer really piqued my interest. The surprises of a couple of people within the first one, that you didn't necessarily see coming, like 7 of 9. We didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know
at
she
that
was
point.
going to be in it.
She appears to be looking quite the badass in the second trailer. We then get Troy, and we also get Riker appearing at the end of this second trailer. Again, not saying too much on that because, we don't know too much, but it just hinted that there's a decent relationship still going between them, that he still trusts him and stuff. However, we do have a date of release now, which is the 23rd of January 2020. So we're only a couple of months away. So I'm very, very, very much looking forward to that. And the final bit of TV news, now this kind of is a...
Just to take it back to Discovery a minute.
Sure.
Apologies, I realise I've interrupted you. One thing that did get me is all the promo around this, and when they're talking to Patrick Stewart, there was a huge amount that he was saying of, I don't want it to be a reunion thing.
Yeah.
I don't just want it to be a next-gen reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but in the trailer, we see Data, we see Troy, we see Riker, and we see 7 of 9. And there was even an interview, and I know, alright, pedants, I know 7 of 9 wasn't in Next Gen.
Yeah.
She was from Voyager.
Yeah.
I know this.
Yeah.
But my point remains the same. He has been doing interviews before that trailer was released saying, I didn't want Riker to just suddenly pop up out of nowhere. So I am very, very hopeful after seeing this trailer that he was being genuine and that there is good reason for this.
It's organic. There's a reason for... I think the Data stuff, whether that's... it's looking as though it's... I don't know when I say dream or flashback. There's appears to be some kind of element of that.
There could be, because it's all the vine fields and stuff which we've seen from sort of. I seem to remember it from like Q episodes from Next Gen where it showed his future. Yeah. Maybe I'm thinking of the finale. All good things. That's it. And so when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, okay, so we're going to get him living on his farm and his vineyard and blah, blah, blah. And clearly that isn't what we're getting as we move forward. So hopefully, like I say, maybe the cameos are just in the beginning. Then we crack on with the different story. And that's where we then pick up 7 of 9.
Certainly envisage at some point we may see other people that may not have necessarily been mentioned previously. I'm holding out for a Whoopi Goldberg-Guinan appearance.
Oh, I'd love that.
I would absolutely love that because I think
Guinan was awesome.
She was such a frigging amazing character. Yeah. And we didn't get as much information about that character as we wanted. And I think that's one of the things. She's the kind of person that he could go to for advice about stuff and... it be a surprise and everybody be fucking ecstatic about it. I think the Troy-Riker dynamic makes sense because they kind of were mentioned a little bit prior because...
Yeah, and I suppose if you're going to have one, you've got an excuse to have both because they're together,
and we knew that Frakes was coming back to direct stuff anyway, so yeah, we'll hope that it's organic, and at the end of the day, I'm trusting it because he would never have come back.
No, very true.
Patrick Stewart would never have come back to this role if he didn't think there was a good point.
However... he clearly does like money because he voiced a poo in the Emoji Movie.
Well, yeah, okay.
Now, admittedly, his joke for that as to why he did it, I saw him on It's an episode of I've Got News For You that he presented, obviously, around the time, and someone pointed out to him that he'd voiced a poo in the poo emoji in the emoji movie. By the way, don't take your kids to see that film. It's bollocks, and it is mean-spirited bollocks that dates really, really quickly. Like, half of the apps that they go through on this phone don't exist anymore. And they're making jokes about them, and it's like, yeah, that dated really quickly, guys. Shit. But yeah, Patrick Stewart's joke is that he said he would only do a part in the Emoji Movie if they gave him a role with some substance.
Okay, let's. I don't know.
I've never thought of him as being
I have faith.
a money-driven man. But
I have faith in the man that he will. He wouldn't have come back to this particular character, especially without a good given reason for it. But that's that. We'll see. We'll see. Only time will tell. But the final bit of TV news. Now, this is kind of throwback to one of the previous podcasts that we've done, which was the HBO one. For those of you who haven't listened, please go back, listen to the HBO show one. I think that's a phenomenal podcast that we did. Really discussed a lot of the great HBO shows. Now, this is a little bit of a spiritual sequel. The new series that I've heard about, a spiritual sequel to the Band of Brothers and Pacific series of past, which is bringing back Spielberg and Hanks for an Apple Plus series, and it's called The Masters of the Air, and it's basically about American bombers in World War II.
oh, right, okay.
So it's been, I think it's an 8-part series that's going to be picked up, and it's going to be shown on Apple Plus. I believe that HBO originally had the legal rights to it, and I think it's kind of passed on there. However, that's kind of picked up speed now, and yeah, by the looks of things, having the same guys who did Band of Brothers and who did the Pacific, and especially with the budgets of this day and age and the technology that they could do for the kind of, you know, the flight side of things.
Look at Dunkirk.
Yeah, exactly.
Go
I'm
and talk to
hopeful.
Christopher Nolan, for fuck's sake, if you want to know how to do flight. I mean, the Spitfire scenes in that are incredible.
So I'm hopeful that this will be yet another brilliant series from that kind of little collection. So there you go. That is the.
So was that another HBO one?
It was going to be a HBO show.
Oh no, it's Apple Plus. You said, sorry.
Picked up by Apple Plus.
Because there was a big HBO Max announcement thing the other day, because I didn't realise they were owned by Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
HBO.
So there's one bit of TV news actually that you probably want to discuss.
Oh yes, definitely. Because I also read that the HBO Max is going to contain all of the DC Extended Universe movies. Wow. Wayne, put that fanfare back in. I've been dying for a place to not watch those films all in one place.
Or you could just put crickets in there.
Bullshit.
Either way.
Yeah, tumbleweeds. Yeah, go for that. But yeah, I was excited and then deflated within 2 seconds of reading an article because it announced that they are picking up a Green Lantern TV show. And after saying in the DC episode, I'll never get the chance to talk about Green Lantern because the film's crap, I may get the chance. However, I then read the first line and saw that it's from the showrunners, Greg Berlanti, who is the man behind the Arrowverse. So he's the man behind Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning. You know, all the CW bollocks that we all think is crap.
I am staying silent on this shit.
So
Jesus.
at the same time, I went, yay! Oh shit.
Yeah.
Why him?
Yeah.
Why has he got to mastermind the whole fucking thing? I mean, so I'm tentatively excited.
Let's wait.
They can do well,
let's wait.
God, that man is a fucking plague on television sometimes. He really is.
That's fine. So that's the kind of news side out of way. Now, I know that you wanted to kind of discuss a couple of
Yeah, we were going to... the last episode, I did kind of touch on Hobbs and Shaw, because I know we both watched that recently. But yeah, I actually want... I've got some notes here, because we'll talk about it now. It's pissing ridiculous. Let's be fair.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to like it at all, because I from the beginning, it's doing such blatant shit from everywhere. Like, it's just pulling stuff from everywhere else and mashing it all together to try and be good. We come back again to Ryan Reynolds doing the Deadpool thing, doing the Detective Pikachu thing. They've even pulled the guy from Deadpool 2, who was the non-superhero who was in X-Force. I think his character's name was Pete or something like that. And he came up for the audition just because he's a normal guy and he's a bit weird, and they had a little ad-lib thing there. So those two are like CIA guys, and they're just constantly... They're just brought in as comic relief and then ad-lib a bit. And it's that pissing ad-lib thing that we discussed last episode.
Do you really need comic relief when you've got The Rock and Jason Statham?
No,
like,
between each other. And again, but I felt even some of that banter didn't work because I felt it was two different shots. You know, because it was the 15th take of The Rock saying something funny put with the second take of Jason Statham saying something funny. So they're not reacting to the lines that they were reacting to when they were putting all this ad-lib bollocks together. Helen Mirren's in it again, because she's the Stath's mum, of course she is. Idris Elba's hilarious. Black Superman. I mean, Christ, he's fucking... I love Idris Elba, but... Jesus.
Call you shit in this.
It's too long. I think about 20 minutes. I'd take about 20 minutes off. I don't think you need it. No. The Samoan bit's quite funny. I particularly enjoyed Cliff Curtis, who is, people may know him from, he's in Fear the Walking Dead, he's been in loads of British stuff, because he's not a British-born actor, as I discovered. But I was like, are you Samoan? Because I'm sure I've seen him cast as like an Arab, as an American, I actually looked through his credits. He's originally born in New Zealand. He's a Maori. So he does kind of fit that Samoan thing. Sure. But it's hilarious that he's been cast as so many different ethnicities over the years. It's really strange. Obviously, to go for our wrestling bit, The Rock got his cousin Roman Reigns in there. And they do the nice ooh-ah, which is his thing before he does his finisher, and they do that together. Roman Reigns Anoa'i, as he is credited. They're trying. The Rock's clearly said to him, look, you got to go with Dwayne The Rock Johnson for a bit, and then you can just go to Dwayne Johnson, you know? So it's like, do that for a bit. Now, I'm sure towards the end, you know when they have the big fight at Samoa? On the Samoan island, and they all get tooled up, but there's no guns and stuff. I'm sure they do The Rock as Maui from Moana, because he comes out with his Samoan. I'm going to call it a skirt because I don't know what it's actually called, but you know, loincloth. Traditional garb. Exactly. He comes out in the traditional Samoan garb. And the thing that he's holding looks very suspiciously like Maui's hook from Moana.
It could very well be.
Anytime I've mentioned it to people since I've seen it, they've been like, oh yeah, I can see that. But it's obviously not as obvious as I think it is. But the second he picks it up, I'm like, that's Maui's hook, look. It even hooks round. It's his hook. And then when he comes out in the traditional garb as well, it looks even crazier. Now, as, again, last episode, we sort of... I briefly mentioned Fast and Furious, and that you can't compare 5 to 1, for example, because they're not the same film at that point, because Fast and the Furious 4, I think it is, which is Fast and Furious, because they didn't want to call it a 4, it was the reboot one, so they called it Fast and Furious. That one basically establishes that we're in some sort of MCU superhero universe, where people don't, normal people don't get injured by things. And obviously that's never clearer than at the end, where there's the 4 cars trying to pull a helicopter out of the air, and in the end, the helicopter goes over the cliff, along with a car that contains Jason Statham, The Rock. I think the girl is in there as well. Is she in the helicopter, perhaps, at that point?
She's in the helicopter at this point.
Idris Elba's in. Now, fair enough, Idris Elba's character is established early on as basically being Black Superman. You can't hurt him. And it's never really established why. He's kind of upgraded, but then he's bulletproof, and his skin isn't bulletproof, so it's what he's wearing that's bulletproof. So it's all a bit weird as to how much he's enhanced and how much he's got armour plating on, you know? But they fall at least 200 foot down a cliff in a wreck. They should all be dead. Everyone should be dead. Yeah. But of course they get up and there's not a scratch on them, because why the hell not? There's a little bit that popped me early on, which is when Rock goes to the Stath's place and they're walking through his garage and he points at a Mini. There's a little red Mini sat there. and he says, "Oh, it was for a job in Italy," and he says to The Rock, "I'd have called if we needed a weightlifting bus driver." This, as anyone who's listened to this from the beginning will know, is a reference to my favourite film of all time, The Italian Job, which Jason Statham was not in. He was in the remake, and actually in the remake, he drove a BMW Mini, not an original John Cooper Mini. So they're referencing the wrong fucking thing in the first place. But it did make me laugh, and the bus driver in the original Italian Job is a black guy who lifts weights. So it works, but that got a chuckle out of me for a reference, even though they got it wrong. They can't even reference shit properly. As entertaining as it was, because I recommended my mum and dad watched it because I thought it was entertaining. I think it's going to date really badly, because there's a lot more jokes than you would expect based around Game of Thrones. And its controversial ending. Yeah, that comes up a lot.
It does, but also it makes me question. At one point, The Rock is talking to his daughter, and his daughter's like, "Yeah, I'm watching it around, a friend's house or something." And he's like, "No." And then he's like, he doesn't seem to care. He's like, "Oh, you know nothing, Jon Snow." Sorry, the kid is less than 10 years old, and yet you're quite content with watching
her watching 18-rated content.
Are you having a fucking giraffe, pal?
And like you say, at one minute he doesn't seem to know what she's talking about. The next minute he's quoting, "You know nothing, Jon Snow."
Yeah.
But like I said, why are we doing lots of jokes? Like, there's not just one joke. No. It pops up again later on, and we joke about the ending of Game of Thrones and that people didn't like it. What? Yeah. And again, it's mostly Ryan Reynolds and his CIA buddies that are doing that joke. So it's like, what did they do to go, right, okay, just riff a load of shit about Game of Thrones, please, because that's pop culture-y, so we can put that in. And it dates your movie, man. No, is anyone going to care about the ending of Game of Thrones?
I don't care about Game of Thrones, and it's like a few months later,
Exactly. I mean, that's been announced as well, hasn't it? The prequel show or whatever based around the Targaryens was announced this week.
Yeah, after they canned the other one.
Yes, the one that then actually shot an episode for or something.
I don't know.
But that was set, 5,000 years or 3,000 years before, whereas now we're only going a few hundred years before to the Targaryens. Exactly. I don't think I'm going to watch it.
No.
I don't think I'm going to watch it. Okay. So yeah, I've got my little rant out about Hobbs and Shaw. Hobbs and Shaw, by the way, it's entertaining. It's another, like Stuber last time, it's turn your brain off and go and watch it and just accept that these people are basically Marvel superheroes who can't be hurt. And as long as you go in with that sensibility, you can find some fun in it. And there is entertainment to be had.
So, now to discuss the main topic for this podcast, which is anime series. So, for those who don't really know, the kind of main difference when we talk about anime,
yeah, I was just going to say, what can we say to people to help them? What's the difference between anime?
Yeah, so
animated TV shows.
Yeah, anime is basically considered a Japanese style of cartoons in the West. So, while we may look at various animations that come out of Japan and the like, we generally consider it as anime because some of it goes by the same style, some of it doesn't. There are differences, just as there is for any other animation or cartoon. Yeah. However, generally, anything that kind of comes out of Japanese kind of animation studios is considered anime in the West.
Does it necessarily need to be based on a manga? Because again, most, I would say, are adaptations of manga books, aren't they?
A good chunk of them are, but however there are some original anime series as well. So, yes, it does. For those who don't know, manga is kind of a short kind of graphic novel, which is viewed from back to front instead of.
But that's because the Japanese read back to front as we see it, and right to left to right, but right to left in terms of they read left to right on the page, but right to left in terms of page flow. But that's not how it's initially published. That's how we buy them. I'm sat here with Volume 1 of Gantz, which is a collection of 6, or let me have a look, 10. So this is a collection of the first 10 issues. And they are generally printed in weekly magazines that are released and then collected in trade paperback form. So it's a very odd thing. My son's into Pokemon, and I've bought him some Pokemon manga from the original days of Pokemon back in the 90s or whenever it was. And he struggled to start with.
Sure.
Because he got that he's got to read back to front, but he was then reading left to right on the page and left to right page flow. So he would open the back page, be presented with 2 pages, one on the left, one on the right. Instead of reading the right-hand page left to right and then the left-hand page left to right, he would read the left-hand page left to right, then the right-hand page left to right. So he was always going wrong, but I've corrected him with that now, so he's actually getting on with it quite well.
Good stuff.
And enjoys it, but...
Yes, I mean, there are a tremendous lot of anime series which you can find on our favourite streaming site, Netflix. There is also a chunk which has been...
Crunchyroll's the best place, if anyone
Crunchyroll
has a Crunchyroll subscription. You can get a free month or something. That's what I usually do.
There is a good chunk on Amazon Prime as well, from what I've led to believe. So I mean, certainly go out. There's a massive variety. Now, we are only going to discuss kind of 3 apiece, or perhaps 2 and then collectively 1. But there is absolutely tons. So depending on what kind of genre of anime or cartoon and stuff like that you're interested in, or the different kind of styles, be it horror, be it sci-fi, there's tons of it out there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is something for everyone, no matter what you're a fan of. Yeah. And it's not all as weird as some of the stuff that we're going to discuss is. No. I've been meaning to watch like Death Note for ages, for example, which is totally different to many of the mangas that I will have, many of the animes that I will have watched. I'll tell you what I discovered in researching this is that I have not seen as many anime series as I thought I had.
There are so many out there.
I could only come up with a list of 10 or 11, and like, again, I'm sure we get panned in the comments, but, things like Neon Genesis Evangelion, I've never seen that. I started watching it. I didn't manage to finish it in time, and I'm not sure it'd have made a top 3 anyway, but I wanted to have at least seen some of it. I've seen quite a lot of anime films, I think. I've seen far more anime films than I have TV shows, but... Go on then, you go first.
Okay, so the first one on my list. Now, this is a series which I absolutely adore, and as Pete can attest to, I'm also wearing my respective t-shirt as well.
Is that Log Horizon?
It is indeed. So, and the first one in my list is Log Horizon. So the premise of this series is people stuck inside a video game. So it's... Instead of other ones, they basically appear inside as though it's a real world environment for them. It's not anything but it is the real world for them. They are their character in this world. So the character that they have been playing for, years in some cases or weeks in other cases, is the character that they have suddenly appeared in this magical world as. So we are introduced as our main protagonist here is a guy called Shiro, and he meets up with other people, Natsuko and Akatsuki, who were other characters who he's kind of met in the past. We become very, very aware to begin with about the tropes of this kind of gaming universe. He suddenly falls over at one point, and suddenly loads of pop-ups appear in front of him, because those are the kind of the icons, which is, his health bar, his magic meter, his inventory, his friends list.
Oh, right. Okay.
So he can literally touch this stuff in front of him and interact with it all. And this is just like kind of beginning of this real MMO feeling, dealing with things that other series that kind of depict this trapped inside a video game don't necessarily touch on. They go very near to economics, they go to politics, they discuss NPCs, which is a non-player character.
I would say MMO is massively multiplayer online is what that would stand for,
correct,
but yes. MMORPGs are what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
essentially.
A massively multiplayer online role-playing game.
Yeah, so I mean the difference between this and some other series which have kind of touched on this trapped inside a game kind of thing, the difference is that they are staying alive but also thriving. So they kind of create a round table with the heads of all the various big guilds. Again, guilds is something which within the scope of massive multi-online playing games,
yeah.
it's a group that you can join. You can join as a novice and eventually rise in the ranks and stuff like this.
COD players would know what a guild is, essentially, wouldn't you? It's your team, it's your crew, it's your... Yeah.
Yeah, so Shiro, the guy that we're introduced to at the very first episode, he's shown to be an extremely intelligent and capable person. Beyond most of the other people, he's, the villain behind glasses is kind of the nickname that he's given. He's got a loyalty from the people that he's met in the past. He's an expert at this game. He's played it for years. Every intricate detail of this game he knows down to a T. He's got the magical items from special quests, when he was playing the game. He's done stuff that nobody else has, and everybody used to turn to him as the kind of source of information for this game. And he kind of shunned that after a while. He got bored of being the guy that everybody went to, so kind of isolates himself. But then he befriended a couple of kids before this whole adventure kicks off. He befriended a couple of kids online, and he'd helped them out, and he kind of reinvigorated his spirit of the fun of the game. And so, as we continue with this series, it starts to pick up pace very, very quickly. They're trying to figure out how to survive in this environment, how to fight, because they can't just fight on a keyboard like they used to. They have to physically imbue themselves with the abilities that they used to be able to. Like, they'd click a button and that would do their special move, and they would line up a load of different abilities and things like that. They now have to perform those actions physically. They can't just pick a button and it will do it for them. They have to instinctively do it. And Shiro, Akatsuki and Natsuko, they band together as a little group, and they go out and they basically practice fighting to kind of pick up these skills. And it makes them understand the environment that they're in. It's a real environment, and they can be killed. However, the trick of this whole thing is that even when they die, they are revived in the cathedral, as it's called. It's not revealed until a little bit later that each time they die, they lose a little part of their old selves. Like, the memory of something from their past is sacrificed in order for them to be reborn.
Right, I see.
So this is a thread that kind of picks up. You don't really get the sense of until a little bit later, because, these three characters especially don't die for a very, very long time, but without giving too much away, they don't die because they're very skilled at what they are. They're kind of the top tier. They're level 90s of each of their respective classes. So eventually these three people create their own guild, and while it's small and it's developing, it increases with various members later on. The kids that Shiro had befriended before the apocalypse had happened, as they called it in-game, and then just slowly but surely it builds this sense of family amongst this guild, coincidentally enough, called Log Horizon. So it builds this sense that they're looking out for each other, they're looking out for kids, they're looking out for everybody's best interests. The way that they start the economy off is because they look around and they realise that everybody is just kind of sitting there on the laurels. They're not staying alive and thriving, they're just staying alive. Like, they will do the bare minimum just so that they can get a few coins to survive in the game. All food tastes disgusting because if they're creating it by the system, then it doesn't taste of anything. They later then find out that if somebody's got the cooking skill and they cook real food instead of using the in-game mechanics, if they cook it as though it was real food, it tastes like real food. And so there's these kind of little things that you kind of go, well, hang on a minute, that's never really kind of can be considered. And it's that spins off this economy, and they suddenly become aware that they need to buy up land and they need to do this so that they can secure their own future. I mean, I love this series. I absolutely love this series. As the story continues, it's not just about survival. It's finding a way home. They realise that they're stuck inside a game, but they need to survive inside the game. They need to make sure that they survive. They're in their respective guilds. They're with all of the friends that they knew from, when they were playing the game. They can see these people. They can interact with these people. But at the same time, not everybody necessarily wants to stay. Some of them find it an adventure. Some of them find it exhilarating to be inside a game. The kids, for example, find it exhilarating. And there's a boy who's been in a wheelchair in the real world who doesn't have the understanding of what it means to run around and to walk. And he suddenly gets that. He doesn't want to leave. Why would he? Because he's having a great time. they develop a connection to an NPC who eventually gets recruited into Log Horizon. Again, that kind of whole plays into how it plays into the development of magic and what they're capable of doing in this environment. They're no longer restricted by the limitations that the game imposed on them to begin with.
Right.
This is all the kind of stuff that I love. There's some great, strong female characters in this. There are some absolutely immense battle sequences. There's a couple of episodes in Season 2 where they're going to fight a big, from gaming side of things, like big bosses. And there's like one big boss that they have to fight, and it turns out that another two big bosses come out at the same time. And how they plan and how they strategize this, you've got healers, you've got tanks, you've got controllers. So each individual person has a different ability, again based on that kind of MMO
the
kind
RPG
of game.
thing. Yeah.
This series for me was just phenomenal. I'd seen other series similar to it. I know that the animation style for, I think, you and a couple of other people didn't necessarily gel, which I understand. But for me, I had no problems with it. I love the characters. The music for it is fantastic. Like the score behind the whole series is absolutely fantastic. I've downloaded the soundtrack and I listen to it from time to time if I'm just in a chilling time. The main theme, as you recall, we sang that many a time. Database.
I like the theme. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and but I mean, the only sad part for me was that there was no season 3. This is a 2-series series, and unfortunately, due to problems with the actual creator getting done for tax evasion or some such nonsense, there was never any season 3. I don't know whether there ever will be, but yeah. So Log Horizon is the number one on my list.
Okay. Well, yeah. As you say, I did try and watch it. You're right. The animation style didn't gel for me, and that sounds strange to say because it's anime, and we've just lumped all anime together. But there are nuances between them, different styles of anime that you can see. I think, as well as we will come to towards the end, it is very similar to something else that I had watched very recently at the time.
Sure.
And when you've seen that other thing first, regardless of what actually came first, you tend to go, oh, but this is just that. Oh, this is just that. Now, fair enough, after hearing you talk about it, I obviously give more of a chance. It does explore different themes of the same ideas in different ways, which is fair enough. But like you say, if you can't get on board with the style and the way it looks, you're going to struggle to get into it, to get to those story beats, I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only reason.
I'd encourage you to give it another shot. Like I say, it does touch on things that you wouldn't have expected from another series, which may include a similar dynamic. It is a little bit more serious in places, a little bit more spiritual in places as well, if that makes sense. And it touches on that kind of different world perspective. I love it. I will still go back and heartily watch it through and through again and again, because I think it stands the test of time for me on one of those. Cool. Over to you then.
Right. So, in reverse order, this one would be my number 3. And that is Gantz. Now, Gantz is a manga, based on a manga. I have the first 25 volumes in my possession. And the idea is that characters die and they wake up in a room with a big black ball that is called Gantz. They are in Tokyo, but they don't seem to be able to be seen by anyone in the outside world, and they can't leave this apartment that they're in when they first get in there. Gantz then sets them a task, which is to go and kill an alien that is existing in Tokyo. It is generally Tokyo, I think. I don't think it moves outside of Tokyo certainly for the span of the anime, because the anime only covers, I think it's something like the first 7 to 10 trade paperbacks. It's 25, 26 episodes long. There was one series, and this is the reason it sits at 3, is because it was never finished adequately for my liking. we didn't get a good ending, as it were. So yeah, we follow a teenage lad called Karuno, who dies along with a quote-unquote friend who the other bloke thinks he's his friend. Karuno doesn't really care who he is because he's a bit of a loner. And they both die in a train accident. They wake up in this room and they have to go out, and I think the first baddie is the onion boss or onion guy. And yeah, onion alien. There you go. He's just called the onion alien. And he's a very weird looking thing that looks like an onion for a head. But they set them a challenge. They have a certain amount of time. They have to go out and kill this alien. If they do, they get points. And that's the premise as you understand it going in. It's fucking weird. It's really weird, because after they've gone out and killed the alien, they then get released from the apartment, and they can go back to their existing life, and people can see them, and they can interact. I was wrong with that. Because they do go back, and there's interesting threads in there, because Karuno is it him, or is it the girl? There's a girl that dies that... I think it's the girl. One of them is looking after a younger brother. It's been a while since I watched the anime, I've got to be honest. Because, as I say, it doesn't end satisfactorily for my liking, which pushes it down. But one of them is looking after a younger brother. So he's very keen to get out of the apartment so they can go and look after their younger brother and help them out. So there's a real sort of... breadline sort of sensibility to it, and a real worldness to it, which is very odd when juxtapositioned with gigantic Buddha-shaped aliens that are 40 feet high that people are trying to kill. Gantz provides you with weaponry and with a biosuit that you can essentially gives them, makes them superhuman essentially, but can run out of steam. If they get beaten up too much or it takes too much damage, it will start to leak fluid, biofluid, and therefore these people then don't have the extra abilities that they would have. Now, in the manga, we go... I think I've got about the first 3 arcs, as you would call them, and it does get bigger and bigger, and it explains more and more as we go along and starts to make a bit more sense, even though it is a totally obscure concept. But the idea is that you gain the points. The points, when you reach 100, I think it is, you can then spend those points to either get out yourself or to revive someone who has died within the game. Because a key thing is that if you're out fighting the alien and you, for example, get your arm chopped off and you're bleeding to death, as long as the alien is killed, as soon as the alien is killed, you will get taken back to the apartment. And if you are injured in any way, those injuries will be totally nullified. So there is a bit, I believe, where someone loses a limb, is bleeding out, but the rest of the team managed to kill the alien in time, so that when that person reappears back in the apartment, they are fully healed and ready to go. But if you die during the act, you are then proper dead. So like I say, you can then spend your points to bring someone back if you want to, which obviously plays in later on when characters you've come to know and love over the first arc die, and Corona's still alive, and he then gets to a point, and again, I'm sure this is only in the manga, I don't think the anime gets this far, but it gets to a point where he then has to choose between his own freedom or bringing back someone that he was very close to, who's actually a guy in this instance, that he would bring back rather than the girl. I like it. I think it's really good. The animation's awesome. I think it's an interesting idea. It explores some very interesting themes, albeit in a very odd way. I'd never argue that. It suffers from something that I think anime can sometimes, which is teenage boy obsessed with large-breasted woman. There's quite a lot of gratuitous nudity that I'm not entirely convinced is necessary, but I suppose it is, because again, there's a trope in Japanese manga and anime, is that prepubescent teenage boy who is obsessed with the pin-up girl with the big breasts and the tiny waist. and he pines over her and stuff. And then, of course, this model is one of the people that dies later on and ends up in Gantz. So then he's got to work with her when he's, essentially been wanking over her for the last 10 years. So it's a very weird dynamic. But it doesn't lean... The anime doesn't lean as heavily into that as the manga does. The manga leans... I mean, I'm just, for reference, because I know none of you can see this, I'm showing Fluffy the back cover of the first trade paperback, and it is the girl in question wearing part of the Gantz uniform. It is just about covering her breasts, but nothing else is covered, and she's got a gun in her hand, because that's what you do, So the manga is far more towards that than the anime is, although I still find the anime slightly gratuitous at times. But yeah, it's a good one. It's very good. I think I would push people for a more closure-driven sort of story. I actually think the 2 live-action films that they did do a better job of telling the simple story at the heart of it and bringing a closure to it. But it doesn't deal with as much as the anime does, because the anime has 26 episodes to deal with, so they sort of condense it down a bit. But they're good. They're a different take on it if you want to look at it with slightly better closure, as I say. But yeah, so Gantz would be my number 3.
Cool. Right, so my next one is one which I'm not sure whether you have got round to watching yet.
I've watched about 3 episodes.
Okay, you've watched a couple of episodes. Okay, that's fine. I will try to hold back some of it without giving too much away.
Oh, no, it's fine. Go spoilers, because I haven't had the chance to go back to it yet.
That's fine.
Obviously, we're on South Park at the minute, so...
Yeah, of course. So the next one that I'm going to talk about is One Punch Man, which our good friend Baggy had recommended to me some time ago, and is on the popular streaming site that is Netflix. So if by any reason you wish to watch any of these shows, this is definitely one of those ones which is there. So it follows a guy called Saitama. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm pretty...
I would say so, yeah.
That's what I think is Saitama.
That's the way I took it.
So this is a guy who is... I mean, it kind of says itself in the title. This is a guy who is so powerful that he defeats enemies with one punch. And that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but as this series moves along, there are so many battles with different individuals, and he just kind of pops up, punches one of these villains, and then boom, they basically explode and they die. However, it's not all based on him, is kind of the good thing about it, because otherwise this would be one hell of a boring series. But he quickly takes on, within the first first episode or 2, he takes on an apprentice, Genos, and basically he's an android, and he takes him on as his apprentice, because this guy looks at him and goes, wow, you are the most powerful person I've come across. I want to be trained by you. So at some point a little bit later on, he's taking on a powerful foe, and he's surrounded by, a couple of people who look massive, bulky, big, beefy villains that just look like they could just rip his arms off.
What's the name of the one in the first episode? Is it Vitamin Man or something?
Oh.
Begins with a V. He's a big purple guy. He looks like a fucking swollen penis.
Yeah, it's been a while
it's
since...
something like Vitamin Man or something.
It's some ridiculous...
It's the worst name ever, and I pissed myself when I said it. Names, but it's meant to be.
Yes.
Like, I felt that I laughed, and I felt I was supposed to laugh.
Yes, no, you definitely were.
I didn't think I was supposed to take it seriously.
So surrounded by, some pretty powerful, beefy-looking guys, they have no idea what they're up against, and then suddenly he looks at him, he's like, oh my god, your, power level is off the chart. What the hell? How did you become so powerful? And this is how he says he does it. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10k run every day for 3 years, and that's how he got as solid as he is. And even his apprentice looks at him, he's like, what? Are you having a... What? This is ridiculous. And it's got to the point where he had black hair at one point, and he loses all his black hair and goes bald because of this regimen.
I actually... there was a thing on YouTube I saw the other day, which is I think he's a Chinese guy who is doing...
Oh, okay.
The One Punch Man.
Okay.
Like, he's doing that every day, and he'd been doing it for 3 months or something.
Okay.
I tell you what, after 3 months, he was fucking ripped.
Okay.
He was ripped as shit.
Fair play.
But it was really interesting to see, and he's trying to keep it up for 3 years. He's trying to do it.
That is pretty
I
impressive.
thought it'd be quite funny, but yeah, it was like his 3-month check-in, and I was like, Jesus, that's a hell of a difference in 3 months.
Christ, okay.
But then again, when you're doing that, it's...
Yeah, every day for 3 years, pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So this is so Saitama. He's basically looking for a fight. He's not really out to save the day. He's not really out for justice. He's basically looking for a fight. Because he wants to test his mettle against other people. That is in a sense the crux of it. So yeah, he's got the powers of strength. He's got speed. He's got the ability to jump. He's got increased senses. He's basically invulnerable to most attacks. Like, he will take a beating and then just brush it off as though he didn't feel the pain. At one point he jumps from the moon. He gets punched to the moon and then he jumps from the moon all the way back to Earth. And kind of lands in a pretty decent spot, and you kind of go, all right then, yeah, that's perfectly acceptable. I mean, as the series moves along, it does kind of pick up other threads for other things. Like, there's a hero association out there which has various classes for depending on your power levels and how good you are. He kind of gets, he gets inducted and kind of gets ranked as a C class, which is like a middle class, basically because although he completely dominates all the physical aspects, the other kind of stuff for the test, he just kind of sacks off because he doesn't consider it important. So they say knock him down, whereas his apprentice gets put in the high class. So it's just the irony of all of that. There's some absolutely crazy battles that occur over the course of this series. It is, just to say, it's series 1 is up on Netflix at the moment. I know series 2 has been done and finished. However, I'm waiting for the English dubbing of that before I suddenly watch that.
That's fair enough.
But yeah, so there's some absolutely crazy battles which occur, various villains and other heroes throughout who, again, are just trying to test their mettle against things, but, they've been training for years, or they've done this, that and the other, and, they're pretty powerful themselves. There's one guy who basically rides a bike, who's like the Moomin Rider, I think his name is. And he's basically just
like the
bike man.
The TV show when we were kids, Moomins.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Little white things.
Yeah,
Do you remember those?
Moomins. Oh my
the
god,
Moomins.
yeah. Just shows how old we are, kids.
I think my son has a Moomin, actually. I think that's still a thing. I think he's got a little... I think he asked for a little Moomin one day.
Oh my god.
I have a feeling.
There's one guy who is just he kind of runs throughout the series as a guy who basically rides on a bike, and it's just hilarious because they call in various heroes to solve stuff. They're like, yeah, Moomin Rider, let's call him up, and it's a guy on a pedal bike, and you're like, what the hell does he have to offer? So again, this is where the humour and stuff comes in. So there's like massive destruction of cities. There's impending invasions of various different evil people, and it's basically about these heroes kind of coming together, and basically, as usual, Saitama could just turn up and floor any of these villains in one punch. It's kind of like he's off, like doing his shopping. There's like a massive battle going on in a city, and he's just off doing his shopping or trying to catch a mosquito or something like that. And then finally he kind of rocks up and one punch is there. But he doesn't necessarily take the credit. It's quite a funny series because it's touching on the kind of super heroic kind of stuff. The first series does end, and again he like beats up like somebody from the underworld or something like that, again with one punch, and he's like, oh, for God's sake. And it's just hilarious because at some point soon, I'm hoping at some point soon in the second series, he actually gets to have a proper fight. Because he just literally nails somebody with one punch and they're done. And there you go. So that's my number 2.
That's interesting because I started watching it and I very much because looking at my list of what we've got, obviously Gantz plays everything straight. As ridiculous as it is, everything is played straight. There isn't comedy in it. But I got the feeling from One Punch Man when I started it. I was like, you want me to laugh at this? Yes. Actually, you're kind of mocking yourself in a way. You're mocking what you're doing, and you want me to be in on the joke.
Yeah, they're mocking.
And that was very cool because a lot of anime takes itself very seriously, even though it is the most ridiculous shite you could think of on a fucking LSD trip, And that's where I think the beauty of this series comes in, because it is mocking itself and it's mocking other anime series,
but at points it takes itself seriously and then flips it on its head.
Yeah.
And that's the enjoyable
It's
thing.
quite a modern one as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. That's
obviously, like you say, season 2's just come out, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And
I think it was 2014, 2015 when the first series
it
came out.
certainly seems to have a is postmodern the right word, but it has a sort of postmodern feel to it in that it understands what came before and it wants to pay homage to that, but at the same time sort of mock the silliness of it in some way.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons that I wanted to add it to the list, because I mean I thought about adding one that I'd mentioned before, Guyver, but trying to actually find those to watch was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
If Dave Ball a call, he's got them on video.
Love it. I'm not sure I've got
Again,
a VHS
Google
player.
VHS, guys.
I'm not still got, but yeah, it was also one that I was trying to, not plug in a particular streaming site unless they want to sponsor us.
Yeah, you never know, maybe.
Yeah, no, maybe. Again, it was just to try and give people an option so that they can go and view this.
I don't know whether they like sponsoring. I think we just need to come up with a plot for a film and they'll just commission it.
Okay, yeah. That sounds about right in this day and age.
Well, that's what they were doing. I don't know, when was that South Park episode? 2017?
Very true,
I don't know.
very true.
I know there's one where they just ring up and try and... Kuna Friends! He's trying to pitch the Coon MC universe, isn't he?
Yes.
God, that was funny. I loved that episode. Anyway, we will discuss South Park another time. Okay, my number 2, I'm going to go with Attack on Titan.
Oh, I thought you might.
Which is 3 seasons in now. The 4th will be forthcoming, hopefully. Haha, excuse the pun. So, Attack on Titan. We are presented with a world where humans are living within a walled society. There are 3 walls. Wall Maria, Wall Rose, and whatever the inner wall is, because I can't remember, because we haven't really been there very much, so it's not mentioned very much. Most of the action takes part on the 2 outer walls, but essentially it's an allegory for the caste system. So you've got your poorest people live on the outer wall, then your slightly richer people live in the inner wall, the middle wall, if you like, and then your aristocracy are the 3rd wall in, protected. They live like that because there has been things called Titans running around, which are anywhere from 10 to 30 feet high, and eat people, basically. And that seems to be all they exist to do. Now, the first season of this is about the Titans breaking through. So the Titans break through the outer wall. I'm sure Maria is the outer wall, and then Rose is the inner, and then there's a 3rd one, but if I'm wrong, I apologise, guys. But they break through Wall Maria, we'll say, in the Trust District. And it's a new type of Titan they haven't seen before. I think it's the Colossal Titan. No, not the Colossal Titan to start with. It's the Armoured Titan, who literally runs through the wall. And so that then forces them back to behind Wall Rose. And what we look at in the first season is the people taking the fight back to them, who are called the Scout Regiment. So you're trained as a child or teenager, and you pick a regiment to go with. A lot of people like the military police because they get to stay inside the very, very inner wall and protect the aristocracy, so you're safe, basically. The Scout Regiment are in charge of going out into beyond the walls and investigating Titan activity and trying to find out more about the Titans and what exists beyond the walls. As soon as we break the first wall, then the Scout Regiment has to come back and protect the people inside the walls at that stage. So the first season moves on like that. By the end of the first season, we've cleared out the Titans, most of them, and we've watched our main character, whose name I can't remember. Obviously, he's a prepubescent teenage boy.
Of course.
And he... but he is. There is his sister who isn't really his sister. I think they were like adopted or something. They're not proper blood. But his sister, again, it's the same thing we know. She's the badass. He's actually a bit of a whiny bitch, and I struggle with it in anime at times. This one's particularly guilty of it towards the other seasons. even One Punch Man annoyed me at times. It's the bit where they're going, oh my god, what do I do? How do I get through this? And it's like, in One Punch Man, he's just whinging about the fact that he can't, it doesn't take more than one punch to beat someone. Now, I don't mind that so much because it's funny, because that's the joke, that what is he worried about? Whereas in this, we discover Eren, that's his name, Eren Yeager. We discover that in the first season, we discover that he is a Titan. So that then gives us, we discover that Titans were people who have been infected in some way, shall we say. I honestly don't know yet. They haven't revealed to us how. But then there are some people who can, at will, change into Titans that are bigger, more intelligent, because Titans are a bit like zombies, they just blindly walk around looking for people to eat. That's all they do. But then you get the Colossal Titan, the Armoured Titan, and Eren's Titan, and they're different. They're intelligent, they're aware of their surroundings, they can have a plan and carry it out. So he then starts to lead the fight back, because he can change at will, and they discover this, and he works on the Scout Regiment's side, on the human side, against the Titans. When we get to Season 2, we expand the understanding of the Titans. So we start to look more at who the Titans are, how they change, what their motivations are, where did they come from, and it starts to focus a bit more on them, because now we've put the walls back together, so we're going out again. We're going out to see stuff, and we're trying to clear everyone out. No, I think we're still clearing everyone out as the first wall that's been broken in the second series. It's the third series when they then go out again. But it's interesting, because as the series go, we sort of pull back a little bit each time. So to start with, it's the people and getting to know everyone and establishing the base. And then we pull out a little bit and start looking at the Titans and how and why. By Season 3, they drop a frickin' knowledge bomb in Season 3 that really took me by surprise. And you actually realise that what you've been watching for 2 seasons is a pinprick compared to what's actually out there. Because all you know of this world is 3 walls and cities within those walls. You don't know that anything else exists. Season 3, we're looking at the world. We're seeing big picture. We're seeing actually what we thought was the case is not the case anymore. And it's really cool because it turns it on its head and gives it a lot more depth and purpose. Now, having said that, Season 3 is difficult because the first 12 episodes, they did it as 2 12-episode releases for Season 3. So Part 1 is, we've put the wall back together. They use Eren to go and fill the gap in the wall that they broke. So the Scout Regiment can now go out and take the fight to the Titans. We spend 12 episodes building up to the point where they actually go outside the walls and take the fight to the Titans. So you're just waiting every episode going, and we're going this episode. Oh no, we're going to talk a bit more. Okay. Because now we're into politics of the aristocracy. We discover that there are Titans inside the walls, which is weird, and why. And it just, it blows things wide open. Now, having said that about the first part of Season 3, the second part pays it off. So it's worth watching, because without those first 12 episodes of build and expansion of our knowledge of the world that we thought we knew, what happens in the second half of Season 3 wouldn't be as effective, because you wouldn't have spent enough time with the people that are the key players at that point. So it's necessary. But yeah, Season 3 really intrigued me. It took it somewhere totally different that I wasn't expecting, and I'm really interested to see where we go next. Because yes, although we might spend 12 episodes building up to what we actually want to get to, the payoff of the final 12 episodes of that theme are really, really good and well worth waiting for.
Yeah, no, it was a series that I started a very, very long time ago.
I think so. We all sort of started it. Baggy was watching it as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. Baggy had kind of mentioned it to us. He's kind of our anime aficionado, probably. It was one that I'd started, but I think the gratuitous nude people running around all the time kind of put me off a little bit to begin with.
Yes, because the Titans are all naked.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, one of my notes here that I didn't actually read is Season 1 took some getting used to, but it was the look of the Titans that I struggled with more than anything else, because as you say, they just look odd.
Yeah.
They don't look right.
Yeah, it didn't grip me enough. But perhaps at some point, once it's finished and there's a finality to it, it may be one that I'll revisit.
I totally understand, because there's a lot in the first series of Eren whining like a fucking bitch.
That was it. I think it was,
And
the main protagonist was just a...
How do I do this? How do I do this? Why is this happening to me? It's like, you fucking whingy bitch. Shut up.
Yeah.
And there's bits of that in Season 3 because they're sort of experimenting with him to see what he can do, so he whinges about the fact that they're experimenting with him quite a lot and shit, and it's like, oh, just shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up, you fucking tard.
Yeah. So,
but, forgetting that, I really like it.
Yeah, that's good. So moving on, finally, now we pretty much agreed that this was more than likely going to be our top.
Well, yeah, certainly, like I say, this is my number one.
Yeah. Which
right
is Sword Art Online.
Sword Art Online. And so, let's see. First season was Sword Art Online.
Yes.
And half of that was actual Sword Art Online.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And then we went into...
Alpha Online.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which was a remake of Sword Art after the original thing.
Yeah, kind of.
Season 2 was Gun
Gale
Gale.
Online.
And then the end was back to Alf.
Kind of Alfheim with the... Well, it was kind of Ironclad in Alfheim Online.
Yes, that's it, Alfheim. That's it, Alfheim.
Alfheim. And the Mother Rosario storyline.
That's right.
Yeah, and then we've had a latest series which has gone into Underworld.
Well, yeah, there was Alicization, or Alicization.
Alicization, which is in Underworld, as
and then
the game is.
Yes, and then we're then now started War of Underworld. Sword Art Alicization, War of Underworld is about 4 episodes in as we speak here today. So I haven't watched any of that because I'm got story up.
Yeah. So the premise of Sword Art Online, for those of you who don't know, is now again we're touching on something that we have.
This is the show that we were talking about earlier when Fluffy was saying like Horizon.
Yeah.
This is an MMORPG.
Yeah. So people trapped inside a video game. So to begin with, there's not much to it. A guy puts on a kind of VR headset, plugs himself into the game, and boom, there he is, and he's having a bit of fun. He's meeting new people.
It's not what is it? Nerve Gear, isn't it?
Nerve Gear, yes, yeah. So
which is VR, but plugs directly into your brain.
Yeah.
So that you can feel pain, you can taste things.
Yes.
So there's a much deeper level than we would understand from our basic VR. And obviously that then plays into the plot.
Yeah,
of the film.
It hits into your sensory system, and basically, everything that you feel, everything you smell, see, etc., is as though it's real for you. So to begin with, we are met with a guy called Kirito, and he becomes our protagonist pretty much for most of the series, I'd say. I mean, there are other characters that kind of come and go, but he's pretty much our focal point, the Black Swordsman, and he goes in there and meets a couple of people and shows somebody how to fight in the game, and just as he's kind of he's trying to log out, there's no log out button, and it becomes apparent that everybody who's just logged into the game is now trapped, and then somebody makes a big announcement and basically says, until you clear the final boss on the final floor,
is it 100 levels?
100 levels. Until that happens, you are not leaving. If you die in the game, you die in real life. If you try, and if somebody in the real world tries to take you out of the game, you will die in real life. There's basically a microwave chip or something at the back of the headset that will fry your brain if you try and leave. And so it becomes pretty evident right from the get-go that this is serious.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not... it's not a game anymore. Yeah. This is real life. If you get hurt in the game, you get hurt in real life.
And again, that's due to, like you say, that's why it's necessary to explain that the nerve gear plugs directly in, so it can control your brain function, and therefore can control your physical functionality.
Yeah. So straight away, Kirito begins to kind of build a friendship base with in different individuals.
Is it Asuna?
Asuna, yeah. So he understands the seriousness of the situation, but he kind of finds the time to enjoy the experience as well, which rubs Asuna the wrong way a little bit. She she's part of a big guild of people, and she just sees him sleeping in a field one day, and it's like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? He's like, well, it's a beautiful day. She's like, but come on, this is serious, and then kind of understands his viewpoint, like not necessarily everything.
Well, that's and again, it becomes apparent because it's the amount of time. What is it? 2 years or something that passes in the first. Well, it's not the first season, as we said, because they're out of Sword Art by spoilers. They get out. Well, some of them do.
Ah, Pete, you've spoiled.
Some of them do.
Yeah, some of them do.
But so they're out before the end of the season. But we have passed years of actual time. It's just that those years have been spent within a game.
Yeah.
And I think it's established that the Sword Art players are all in hospital or something on drips.
Yeah.
Because they can't eat or drink or anything, because they can't get out of the game to physically imbibe fluid and eat food.
However, it becomes apparent as things progress that there is a timeline for them to be able to be hooked up to machines and being kept alive. At some point, the body's going to shut down. They can't,
exactly.
It's not like being in a coma. It's not going to happen forever. But while this is all, while trying to fight for their lives in this, he falls in love with Asuna, and then finally, giving it away. But finally, once they're out of the game, not everybody makes it out, as we suddenly realise. So now it's up to Kirito to then rescue Asuna from another game, which has kind of been taken from Sword Art Online. It's kind of been spun
Sword Art gets shut down, doesn't it? And then someone recreates it to be what it should have been in the first place, which is an MMORPG that you can complete with your mates.
Yeah. So they've removed all of the kind of, the security issues and things like that. So he now goes into Alfheim Online to try and find Asuna, because he suddenly gets given a picture of her appearing in the game. So he goes in there, manages to convert all of his skills and things from Sword Art, where he was like the biggest badass.
Yeah.
He was dual wielder. He showed off his skills on more than one occasion to basically be the most proficient fucking player that the game had ever seen. So he then goes out, and then turns out his own sister or cousin. It's a bit of a weird relationship thing in that. It gets a very, very weird. Turns out his sister, we'll call her his sister, is also playing the same game, so he runs into her, and she kind of teaches him the tropes of the game that he's playing. And while he goes on this mission to try and rescue and find Asuna. And this is a game where he can't be killed, but he takes it just as seriously as though it was Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some pretty emotional episodes in here, again, without spoiling too much, him reconnecting with Asuna. There's some touch-and-go stuff in this one, I think we both agree. There's some, again, this is kind of that weird, there's some naked females here, and let's do a bit of weird bondage.
The only bit that sticks out for me is the end of Season 3, Alicization. That's the bit, I don't have lots of memories of gratuitous, unnecessary nudity in previous series, but maybe I'm just not remembering well.
I think the one of the guys, the guy that's basically got control of Alfheim Online and who's keeping Asuna prisoner.
Oh Christ, yes, no, you're
really
absolutely right. He's a fucking sleazy.
I mean, he's like,
twat,
while she's in a coma, he's like sniffing her hair and saying, "We're going to be married," even though she's in a coma.
Right.
It's all a very bit. It's all a bit.
Just because there's not unnecessary nudity doesn't mean there's sleazeball assholes in it. I mean, so Season 2 is Gun-Gale, isn't it?
Gun-Gale
which is a gun game, a shooting game, first-person shooter, so Kirito's not really sure if it's for him. I can't remember why he goes into it. Is it that there's something going on and they call him in? Because that's what it sort of becomes, isn't it? That Kirito's the go-to guy when something's going wrong in an MMO.
Yeah, so...
It's like, call Kirito, he can come and help us, man.
Yeah, so Kirito gets kind of pulled into Gun-Gale Online because somebody gets killed in-game. So they see somebody shooting a gun at a video screen, and then the character dies in the game and just disappears, and it turns out they've been killed in real life. So it all spins back to a cult that was in Sword Art Online. A bunch of people who knew that anybody that they killed would be killed in real life, and they didn't care. They were a cult called Laughing Coffin.
That's right.
And they were going around killing people.
Yes, because that's the other thing the first series explores, is that there's people who are very happy to be in a scenario where they can murder people, essentially. They don't care. They will kill people instead of just the baddies.
That's why Kirito gets pulled into Gun Gale Online.
That's right. But he chooses a sword. Doesn't he? It's like a lightsaber, I think, isn't it? Like
in a gun game, he chooses a light sword.
Yeah. And
it sounds suspiciously like a lightsaber.
Gets obviously incredibly good with it, and then manages to whoop everyone's ass anyway, just because he's that fucking good. The character, what's the...
Xenon.
Is that the female that he meets in it?
Yeah.
Who's because that's the sort of his way in, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's the girl who knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And sort of teaches him the ropes.
Yeah, suffering from PTSD as well.
That's right. Which, again, interesting theme that it deals with. Now, the end of Series 2, if I remember rightly, touches on... Is that the bit where we look at the terminally ill patients?
Yes, the Mother Rosario storyline.
That's right, which that totally took me by surprise when we got to the end of Series 2, because you're watching Gun Gale and you're thinking, this is, it's Sword Art but with guns. Cool. All right. It looks awesome.
We'll try not to give too much away, because we don't want to ruin all of the series for you, so we do encourage you to watch it, which is why we're not going to give each of the...
Yeah, go and catch up to date. It's worth it.
Again, on a particular streaming site, Netflix.
So that bit of season 2 really got me, and I think is a cracking piece of TV, because it just totally changes the focus and the themes of the show for a few episodes, and we just go and look at what technology like this would mean to a terminally ill patient, a disabled patient, as you mentioned with Log Horizon and someone being in a wheelchair. It also makes me think, I know you haven't seen Black Mirror, but there's an episode called San Junipero where a terminally ill person is in a VR world that's in the 80s, and she meets another girl, comes into this place who isn't ill, and they fall in love, and they discover that they discover as it goes on that yes, one of them is dying and the other one isn't, but they're in love, and what do? And they can only be together in this virtual space. So it calls up some interesting questions there, I feel. And then season 3, is Alicization.
Yeah, it is Alicization. So the latest series, which is gets a bit weird. Not going to lie. The Soul Translator, as they kind of. It gets a bit deep in places. They talk about things. Essentially, this is now another version of that environment called Underworld, where time moves considerably faster in this environment than it does in the real world. So, for every minute that passes by in the real world, it could be 6 months inside the game.
Yeah.
So, Kirito's gone in there, but the only thing is that his memory is gone. He does not have any recollection of anything that happens in the real world. And then, so he goes into the game, does kind of a bit of a demo, goes back to the real world, talks about the game, and then is attacked by one of the cult members of Laughing Coffin again. And the only way to save him is to put him inside the game. So that's where he goes back, and that's kind of where the latest series now. The latest series has been a bit bonkers. There's some.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it to start with. I was so on board with it to start with. I was so ready, because we had, I think, Ordinal Scale, which is the film, came out in between 2 and 3, didn't it? Yeah. So I'd had a little fill from that, and I really enjoyed that, and I was so excited for Alicization, and it's the ending that pissed me off. And I know we've discussed this off pod, but obviously we're on pod now, so we're going to discuss it again. But the
big battle,
the big battle at the end, for some fucking reason, because this is Japan and anime, and they're really weird with sexuality. The big boss is female at the end. Fine, no problem with that. But for some reason, for, 2 or 3 episodes the big boss fight happens?
Two episodes, yeah.
She's completely fucking naked.
Starkers, yeah.
And her hair, her long purple hair, just impossibly manages to cover her nipples and her fanny.
Yeah.
And it's just like, guys, what are you doing? Why? Why is she naked?
Yeah.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Because it's that kind of shit that when your girlfriend walks in and you're watching it, you're like, this isn't what it looks like. It totally is what it fucking looks like, but it isn't what it looks like. And I know you... I kind of have a problem with it.
Yeah.
But I'm not upset that they tried to do something with it.
Sure.
But there's sort of a rape storyline in the background from some guys. I appreciate them trying to do it.
Yeah.
I do not think they got it right.
No, they did not at all.
Don't think
it was a pretty harrowing episode to watch. Not gonna lie, it was uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable to watch.
I feel like they were verging on glamorizing or normalizing the behaviour that character, the male character was portraying.
Yeah.
And that's a very dangerous thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's in a video game and it's not real. I know that, and I understand that, but even still, on screen, it was not the easiest.
It wasn't pleasant. And I mean, let's be fair to anyone listening, it's not gratuitous in any way.
No.
But
it's the perceived.
You see enough, you hear enough. It's, I would almost compare it to the tunnel sequence in Irreversible, to take it back to Gaspar Noé, as we discussed the other week. That sequence is horrible to watch. You see no nudity whatsoever in that sequence in Irreversible, but there is anal rape happening on the screen in front of you, and it's horrific. What's actually worse about that sequence is when someone walks across the back of the shot, sees what's going on, and walks away again. That's what's worse. But I would compare it to that because it's that level of this decrepitness almost.
But must emphasise that is kind of one very, very small
it's
fraction.
dealt with in one episode.
Without, the majority of the show, I would wholeheartedly...
Oh, absolutely. There's at least but there's like 2.5, nearly 3 seasons worth of good shit there.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Like I say, I just put some clothes on the fucking boss at the end. There's no need for her to be totally naked.
No.
And as the whole rape thing was in there, like you say, it's one episode, and I don't really think it makes a huge difference.
No, it's...
I would rather you not do that sequence and imply that behaviour.
Yeah.
Imply the behaviour from that character so that he can get his comeuppance.
Yeah.
I don't think you needed to try and show us it, because, like I say, I feel they actually took it almost to glamorisation or normalisation of the behaviour.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is continuing as far as I'm aware.
Like we said, War of Underworld is on at the minute. Yeah. I know there's still... I assume there's still manga out there
as
for
far as I'm aware, there is.
Things like Ordinal Scale was original, wasn't it? Yeah. That was not based on any of the manga stuff. No. It was an original thing they came up with.
Because this has been by far one of, if not the most popular anime that's come out, to be honest. It's mainly because it's been westernised as well, because obviously that always increases the number of people that are watching it. So that's been a huge plus. So to take away a couple of things, I mean, the theme tunes for each of these series, I know that
Lisa?
Lisa, we listened to this on a loop. I remember one day where we were helping you out on a job, me and Baggy, and you're really not doing the song any justice whatsoever.
I know, I used to be able to sing it.
Yeah, I know.
Because I used to have the Japanese subtitles up on screen as I was
Yeah, we used to try that.
I could sing it.
But yeah, so, I mean, I'd wholeheartedly encourage you this.
That's what it's called. Crossing Field, that's the first series.
I'd wholeheartedly encourage you to watch it. Again, it's on one of the popular streaming sites. But what is also interesting, I'm not sure whether you were aware of this, but it is actually being turned into a live-action series.
Interesting. I'd heard it was being turned into a they were doing a live-action film. So
live-action series.
That would be far better, because when I heard film, I was like, what, you're going to do the entire of the first season in one thing, cover 3 years? Nah.
No. As far as I'm aware, it is a live-action series. Now, I don't know much more on the details. I think they're kind of waiting for a little bit of time before that. But it is being worked on by the original creators, so
that's good. Good. Well, yeah, I haven't really got much more to say on that. I love the theme tunes. I wish I could remember the rest. But Crossing Field by Lisa, that was always my favourite. I fucking love that song. In fact, I'm going to go and listen to it when we finish recording this. But yeah, I haven't really got a huge amount more to say. I think we've covered everything. Again, Sword Art is not what it appears, or you may think it is on the surface. There is depth to it. There is subtext. It deals with some, as you say, PTSD. It deals with terminal illness. It deals with disability at times, not always, but I like that it does that. I like that it tries to look at other ways that this could go. And for the third season's quibbles, shall we say, I still think it's an exceptional show.
Yeah,
that's why for me it's definitely top of my list.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, we will call it at that then. So, thank you very much for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.
As usual, you can email at ScreenMasters@bytebackmedia, that's byte.co.uk, or you can go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/The ScreenMasters, all as one word, and send us a message. Look at the pinned note at the top of that page for all the links to all the places you can find us. And we shall see you for the next one. I have been Bav.
I have been Fluff.
And this has been ScreenMasters.
Drop